The Dynamite Shaolin Heroes is a 1977 action-adventure Hong Kong film directed by Godfrey Ho and starring a couple people, Bong Choi, Song Kyo Choi, Ki Bum Kim, and a few others. The film is kind of a very below-average martial arts film, in my opinion. Not much is going on. The plot got a little confusing in the beginning, but if you stick with it, it kind of pays off a little bit towards the end where the fights get better, and you're kind of guessing who the main character is, his identity. So real quick, we'll go through the story. It kind of takes place after the fall of the Ming Dynasty, and the government is trying to resurrect the Ming by having like a secret organization so people don't find out in order to kind of take back over from these rebels and stuff. So meanwhile, we have a typical villain who's trying to uncover this list, which basically contains the names of all the people from the organization from the Ming Dynasty. And with the list, then he'll hopefully be able to rise in power. So it's just a general, like, I want power and I'm going to try and take over and fight anybody who is in my way kind of deal. However, what makes this film stand out a little bit is a character known as the Lotus Man, or Lotus Woman sometimes. But the Lotus Man is a man wearing a white outfit and a basket hat and hiding his identity. Now, originally, I thought it could have been anybody, but as it goes along, you kind of get hints about who it might be, and then you find out there's a second imposter Lotus Man that's also fighting. Now, one thing about Lotus Man was that he doesn't kill anybody, but the imposter does kill people, so that kind of gives it away who's who. But anyway, the film starts off very basic. Lots of field shots, lots of basic kung fu, terrible dubbing, but all in all, it's not too bad. And near the end, it kind of picks up with a bunch more fighting, better action sequences, and then they finally reveal who everybody is. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you happen to watch the film, that's kind of the best part of it, in my opinion. So anyway, let's go through my review process with the story. The story was very basic and a little bit hard to follow in the beginning, especially if you're not familiar with the Ming Dynasty or what the movie's actually, where it takes place. So I have to rate it a solid 4. I mean, it doesn't even pick up that much at the end, and you're kind of left like the same place you were in the beginning, where it's like, oh, okay, it's just a typical story about a power-hungry guy, and they're just trying to fight off the government that's trying to rebuild itself. I mean, it's okay, I guess. The music, again, I have to rate it a little bit below average as a 4. Typical martial arts style from that time period. The music is just serviceable, though. Not much going on. The effects, I rated a solid 5. There is a little bit of wire work and stuff. There's some, unique techniques and stuff with flips and falls and jumps and things, but not overly anything, and it's just kind of average. The fighting, again, below average, I'm afraid. It's like a 4. The fighting that was there is very basic, and they do try to mix in like weapons and things like that, but ultimately it's just a lot of weirdness, and you can clearly tell that things aren't hitting or lining up properly enough, and lots of like air whiffs and tons of sound effects. It can get a little drowned out, so I have to rate it a 4. So the overall score actually comes at a 4 as well. It's a below average film. I would only recommend this really if you're a diehard fan and you like films from that period, or just a very, very low budgety, sound effect driven, kind of mediocre plot event. Now, the only thing that I could take away from it is that the Lotus Man, guessing who the identity is of the Lotus Man is pretty interesting, but that's really the only thing that you can get from it. So I'd advise to skip it, but if you're a diehard fan, I mean, go ahead and watch it if you can find it anywhere.